And welcome back to the swamp, everybody. This is the Ogre and the Ass podcast. Hey, how you doing, Eric?
Pretty good. It's pumpkin spice season.
Damn straight it is. I'll tell you what. Shout out to all my basic bitches out there. This one's for you, the pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice brigade.
Oh, that'd be great. Hey, that'd be a great podcast right there. The pumpkin spice brigade.
Actually, yeah, it would be.
Don't take that TM. Just trademarked it.
I know, right? We'll have like 5 females, all named. Was it Caitlin?
Oh, it's
but
like
spelled differently.
McKinsley. Like there's got to be McKinsley in there somewhere.
A Caitlin,
a Caitlin, but spelled with a C. Can never be the K.
Yeah, they all got to spell their names differently. They can't be regular people.
Yeah. Let's see, man. Let's do that real fast before we really dive into this today. Like, what is the 5 top most basic names for women? And it's okay. We can pick on men too. We ain't sexist here. We'll pick on the men too.
Right? Like Kevin, very basic.
Kevin, Chad. Oh, Chad.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Todd. I feel like Todd is so basic.
Eric's a very basic name.
Can I just say something? Oh, I mean, it's common. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's more of a street name with as far as like with Eric compared to like Chad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. But let's put this out there too. And I got to say this is a public service announcement. Can we stop getting so many people named Brock? Listen, to all my Brocks out there, love you guys. You guys are awesome.
I love the gym master too. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like back in the 90s, there was no one named Brock except in the Pokemon TV show.
Exactly.
To this day, it's everywhere I go. I've had roommates named Brock. I have coworkers named Brock. Like, this is just getting out of hand. No offense to all the Brocks. Love you, man. But
but if you don't own an Onyx, don't come at me.
Yeah, that's right. Don't. You see this right here? You ain't got one of these, don't at me. And by the way, I'm going to say this real quick. Shout out to Bailey. Oh, what's her new last name? She got married recently.
Was she?
I'm so bad with last names. Dodal?
What's her original name? Let's go with
that.
Bailey
Stone.
Okay.
But I think her last name is like Dodal or something.
Dodal.
Sounds like a Pokemon.
Right.
Anyway, we should probably get on to our topic for the day.
Yeah,
we didn't go over the 5 basic bitches.
All right, real quick. Mackenzie.
No, McKinsley.
McKenna.
Oh, McKenna's base. Is that bad, you think?
Yeah, it's kind of basic.
I got to go with Brittany.
Brittany? Oh, yeah.
I got to.
Ashley's kind of neutral for me.
I ain't going to put Ashley up there. That's not the worst thing in the world. Let's see here. We're not that great. We don't get out a whole lot. That's our problem.
Yeah, it's just true. Tara?
Oh, how many girls named Taylor? How many girls you met named Taylor around here? I know so many. It's done. Number 4, Taylor. My mom's maiden name was Taylor.
Yeah.
And boy, 5th one. I don't know, like Shaquita.
Let's go with that. We need one representation.
We need one representation from the hood. That's right. All right, Eric, we've talked about this before. And what I don't want people thinking is that like we scripted any part of this or that we bring up topics that we talk about all the time. Okay, like that's it. Like we're just letting people hear our conversations within these 4 walls.
But with that said, though, I am a lot nicer on this podcast than what I am in real life.
The stuff we say, like, it's just not to disappoint our mothers.
Exactly.
The reason why we tone it down on this show. Okay, Eric, do you believe in such a thing as an alpha male?
If you had asked me maybe 5-6 years ago when it was somewhat new, I'd be like, yeah, that's a thing. But now
it was new 5 years ago?
Well, I mean, that's when people started talking about it on the internet. Like, that's when it really got a big push.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my opinion from what I noticed. But now I'm like, you know what? No, there's no such thing as an alpha. It's either you're about your business or you're not.
Okay, so it's either about it or you're not, and I can appreciate that. So alpha males. Oh boy, I'm like, are there natural born leaders? Absolutely. Are there, strong, confident men? Absolutely. Alpha males, first and foremost, as someone who has been called this by other men, do not go calling other men an alpha. That is the most cringy thing I've ever been called by another male. Can I just say, like, I didn't sit there, I was like, oh, thanks, man. I sat there, I was like, what the
like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, like, right? Like, what is wrong with you? Don't call another man an alpha. It's awkward. It's awkward as hell. Like, you got to sit there like, what do I say? Thank you? Thank you, you've submitted? Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, this is the dumbest thing. Don't call anyone. I hate that. I hate the term.
It kind of feels like Planet of the Apes with, Caesar, where all the apes just like bow down to him and he takes their palm and pets it.
Gosh, I hate that. Like, I hate the term alpha male. I say that word a lot right now. hate. I hate it. It makes me cringe so bad. Because one, if you call yourself that, you are the biggest tool in the world. And it goes without saying, I feel like, if you have to call yourself an alpha or a leader or this or that, you're probably not that thing. You're having to call yourself it for your own ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me put that out there. If you're like, I'm an alpha male. Yeah. No, you're not. And it's even worse. Like to me, it's more concrete when you have to call yourself an alpha male that you're not an alpha male.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's something I definitely agree with. I know growing up, even though, my mom isn't, a male, she definitely had alpha about her because she just went about her business. She never had to hoot and holler or beat her chest.
Yeah, it's called like bad bitch vibes.
Exactly. She just did her work. She was about her business, and that was it.
100%. And that's the thing, too. Like, talk about alpha male. We can talk about alpha females, too. They exist. Yeah. Now, in the different forms, too, of this. Like, what I'll say is, like, one, you just got the one who's just a bad bitch. They go about their business. They get work done. They don't care if you're man, woman, or anything in between. You get in their way, they're going to move you. I love that energy. I really do. I grew up around that energy. I grew up in the matriarchy.
Oh, yeah.
But with that too, I think another form of alpha female are the ones who know that they are incredibly good looking and know how to manipulate men. Alpha, yeah. I think I've heard them referred to as like alpha predator females. Because they're gold diggers, or they will be gold diggers. They'll go after people for their money. Mm-hmm. Like that one chick who just got after the basketball player.
Renner? That Renner chick?
I don't know her name.
But she went after PJ Washington, the Instagram model.
Yeah. Got pregnant, then immediately divorced him or something.
Took that bread and leave. Yeah.
That song is so trashy. I can't stand how trashy that song is. But yeah, like a predator alpha, they know they're incredibly good looking. They know they can get you and your money, right? Like if you're especially if you're a simp, and that's the worst thing. Like there's simps out there.
And the sad thing is, technically speaking, the person she nabbed will be considered a alpha. He's a high income man who has a good build about him. He's very athletic to be in the NBA, and yet he still simped to someone who's lesser than him on the income scale.
Yes, not intrinsical value, but just on the income income value. I get what you're saying.
So it's just interesting how that works out. So I got to say, be careful who you call a alpha. Or don't call anyone alpha, to be honest. I mean, just show the world you're alpha by not saying you're alpha and being about your business.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Like, you don't need to go around beating your chest in front of people and then calling yourself this, that, or the other. Like, what? Like, people will know what you are by how you act.
Exactly. Who's that? Are you going to say?
No. You got it.
No, I'm going to say there's that dude, what was it? Tywin Lannister, the father.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I liked him because he told his was the grandson.
Yeah, his grandson was throwing a little pissy fit. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, his grandson Joffrey was the king. I was like, I am the king. And the grandpa replies with, anybody who has to say they're the king is not the king. Yeah. It's like, that's how alpha men be acting around me. Like, you really got to beat your chest like that. You not really alpha. Let's be honest.
Like, because people know it's about setting a tone, right? Like, people automatically respect people who hold themselves in high regard and high standard and treat people with that same respect. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and so in that case and form, like, I'll never, don't want to be referred to as an alpha. I don't want to call myself one. I'm not going to call anyone else an alpha. If you want to say like, oh, like, I feel like I have leadership qualities, that's fine to say that. And I think that's fine to recognize if you have it, because maybe you could do some real good with it. But to go in and just like these douchebags of like, dude, I'm an alpha male. Or people like, you got to hold strong eye contact. What? People don't actually know like the intimacy behind eye contact. Like, you don't want to be staring at someone in the eyes for too long. Might get the wrong impression. There's, I guess I believe in like a firm handshake, but people go in and they like try to crush my hand sometimes.
Oh, I hate that.
Because I'm a big dude, right? And like, you're a big dude, and people get in, they're just like, oh, like they got maybe think like, oh, I got to overpower him, or maybe they think I'm going to come in and try to crush their hand. I'm like, no, man, make it firm and walk away. Like, if you try to crush my hand, I will do it back. and it's always people who don't go to the gym too who try that shit. So like, they'll give you the hardest handshake, and I'm just like, my grip strength's a lot stronger than yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that's true, because I remember when I first went to the South, it was in Kentucky, and there's some hardy people out there, people in their 60s and 70s who still got a strong grip because they're carpenters, or they work with their hands. And so I remember a couple of old men came up to me. We were just talking. We shook hands, and they crushed my hand. And the thing is, they did that because that's how they were raised, because they're old school people. But I remember telling them, all right, you win. You know, jokingly, I said, you win. You're the alpha. I don't care. Just let go of my hand. They would smile and say, no, this is how we do things. Okay, that's fine. But
yeah, that's cool. But let go.
Let go of my hand.
It's like, no. This is how we do it. I get it. Let go.
But yeah.
Yeah. I just, that term, I think it's super toxic too. I think it just creates a larger ego. I think it can even create bullies. All right. Now,
that's true. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter alpha, I should say, it's like male or female. Like having that attitude about you, like I'm the badass around here. I run this shit. Like that's so bad for your ego and makes you so toxic, and no one wants to be around you.
Right.
Like, to me, and again, I hate the term of alpha, but if you are, I guess, falling into the category of one, you're just someone who chills, right? Like, you have a fun time with people do their thing, and it's the only time you speak up, like, besides like having fun, but the only time you really have to show your aggression or you have to show who you are is like if someone starts getting disrespectful. Like, an alpha doesn't have to be size. You could be 5'2". There's plenty of girls that I've met in my life, plenty of them who are 5'2", but they got the attitude of someone who's 6'5", and I love it. I love that. That's how my mom is. She's 5'6", but you ain't gonna scare her.
Well,
no man's gonna scare her. So, like, that's the thing. It's like you got to have that attitude about you, and I think that's what sets people apart. It's like you can be kind, loving, open, vulnerable, but when you really start getting into it, of like beating your chest, or if someone starts doing that around you, just be like, hey, like, knock that shit off. Like, you're starting to bug me now. You're getting mad disrespectful, and I don't want to have to get disrespectful back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's my take on that. What are your thoughts?
No, I was going to say, I'm not going to mention names, but you talked about that the other day. It was somebody, who does that same stuff, who did that same stuff, but until recently they changed for, good reasons. But I'm just like,
someone will check your ass eventually.
Exactly. And it's good to have that change because, I don't know, for me, again, 6 years ago when alpha was first becoming a thing, so okay, I think men need to understand, what it means to hold it down and do your thing. It was healthy 6 years ago on the internet. It was cool. I was like, all right, it's a new thing that men need to focus on. Because, you can admit that men lost their way. They're not we're not our grandparents. Let's be honest, and that's okay.
We soft as baby shit now.
Exactly. And that's okay to recognize, and it's okay to, try and make some appropriate adjustments for the new age. But where we went south is, like you said, when people started becoming really negative about it. For example, you'll find Chads and Alphas on campus, whether it's BYU or UVU, and they come off, we've all met those college people. They come off so douchey. Even in Rexburg, those were people who everyone flocked to because they had charisma, they were likable, but they were just douchey people. No real personality. The personality was just they're either really good looking and buff or all of the above, but there's no real meat.
There's no substance there.
Yeah, there's no substance. And it's like, if that's the kind of energy you want, go for it. But that's not the kind of alpha, quote unquote, energy I'm, looking for in, my friendship. And for the record, I don't care if my friends are more alpha than I am. I don't care about that. As long as you have good energy about you.
Right.
As long as people don't feel like shit, when they're around your presence,
I think there's something to that. And again, maybe what should we turn? I don't want to stop saying alpha. Like I said, I hate that term so bad. I'm just going to start saying leader.
Yeah.
If you're a real leader, that's someone that people can feel comfortable around and safe around. And that's a real big thing. In fact, a lot of books about relationships, about like building your own self up, is that people need to be able to feel safe around you, right? Like, you look at anyone who ever gets into a relationship, right? Like, for all of our viewers out there who are married in relationships, like, you clearly, and maybe later on down the road it didn't work this well, but in the beginning you felt safe with that person, and so you got into a relationship with them because they made you feel safe. This person made you feel like they can take care of me, whether it be physically, financially, emotionally. Like, there was something there that set you apart. Maybe all of the above. There's no, they're not all mutually exclusive, but there is that sense of being a leader, right? And where it comes from is someone who keeps their cool and like can make people feel safe. And it doesn't have to be like you're mean mugging everyone. Like, what the fuck are you looking at? Like, no, it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's just like you can be literally the bubbliest person in the room. But it's just that when someone begins to cross boundaries, someone begins to be disrespectful, then you're like, okay, listen, like, I'll be your best friend. Like, we can be best friends, but if you keep this up, then I'm going to act up too. It's like, I'm not doing this to be mean. I'm not doing this to be an asshole. Yeah. But like, you're getting mad disrespectful now, and I'm not going to tolerate it.
Yeah.
That right there, you don't have to be any size. You don't have to have amount of strength. It doesn't matter what you are. Like, that is just standing up for your beliefs, your boundaries, whatever. And just letting people know, like, you can't do this around me. If you want to do it, you got to go do it somewhere else, but you're not going to be around me when you do this. Because you're just saying, in my environment, in my culture, what's around me, I will not tolerate it. And I love that. When people have come to me and been like, hey, Thomas, like, I don't really like when you do this. Like, I love that, because I'm like, good on you for not being intimidated, because some people look at me and think I'm an asshole because I'm like 6'5", I'll be like, oh, like, go screw yourself. Like, no, like, tell people. Yeah. And people respect it.
Yeah, the ogre's not a psycho, guys.
Not yet.
Right.
Some of y'all get me thinking, though. No, but it's not just that. It's literally, and I think people respect it. If you pull them aside, like, hey, I don't like that you do this, like, when you're around me. Or if you're in my house, I really don't want you saying this stuff. Absolutely, then. Because, and I think that is a sense of leadership where you don't have to flex muscles, you don't have to intimidate. You just pull someone aside, like, I don't like when you do this, and you're just being honest. And I think honesty is a huge sign of leader, not just a good person, but of course a leader, because you're going to tell people how you feel, and then you're also going to let them know, like, if you want to be a part of my life, you got to stop this. Like I said, people have done it to me, and I have the utmost respect when they do it, because at least they're not talking shit behind my back and being like, oh, Thomas, he just acts this way, and I really don't like it. Because it always gets back to me. I don't know how but like, with all of us, it always gets back to us. You always know when someone's talking shit about you, because it always gets back to you somehow, because that's what everyone does. They talk.
Yeah.
So that's my little tangent on that.
No, you're right. I was gonna say, you're talking about, again, just negative sides of just leadership. I know you don't watch a lot of anime. Mm-hmm. You watch just a handful.
I've watched a couple.
Yeah. Well, there's this new one out there called Mob Psycho. Yeah.
That's why, man, they got the dumbest names too. What is this? Mob Psycho? Judas. Okay, keep going.
But anyway, it's about this kid who has psychic abilities, and he can crank it up to 60 or 100, real quick, and he can just obliterate pretty much everybody. But he holds back because he's a wimpy little kid. He likes to be really nice. He's pretty much Clark Kent. He has all this power, but he also has a heart. And so anyway, he wants to self-improve himself without using his psychic abilities, because that'd be cheating. So he ends up going to this self-improvement club, basically, at his high school. And he's around all these brawny, strong, buff men who he can bench press with his psychic powers, but he doesn't, because that's not his style. So he's a good leader, but he doesn't choose to act upon his more brash side, because that's not who he is. But anyway, you would think too, of all these buff, high school kids, of all their testosterone, they'd be a bunch of assholes. But in the anime, they're actually very polite to him, and they do their best to train him to be as buff as him or them.
Just saying too, that's actually more of a gym culture. Like, yes, you do still get gym.
Oh yeah,
gym alphas.
Yeah,
who think like, oh, look at this scrawny bitch. But like, that's like so rare in my opinion. I actually almost never see that. I've always seen like people like helping out, like, oh, like, do you need a spot? Do you need help with this? Or like, hey, like, try this out. Like, try this workout out if you're trying to build your chest. Stuff like that. Anyway, so I didn't mean to.
No.
I want to make sure we didn't get misrepresented.
Yeah, you're right. You do go to the gym, and I understand, the culture pretty well. But just, long story short, they end up actually helping this kid out, getting him buff, and, they actually protect him from other school bullies, because they don't know he's a psychic, monster. But they literally protect him every chance they get when he's being bullied, because he's like the nerd of the school. But it's just, interesting. That's all.
So there's something to that then, where it's, people who are natural born leaders, but maybe they don't want to aspire to leadership, which is totally fine too. Like, you always have that choice. But I think the biggest sense of a leader is like, and to me, it's what you allow around your environment, right? Now, there are people who love conflict, or they think like, oh, dude, like, you can do it. What the hell was that noise? Anyway. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But so there was a kid, I'll never forget this, who was just like, oh, yeah, dude, if I just threaten to fight people, like, they just do what I want. I told him, like, I wish you'd try that shit on me.
Oh my
Give me a reason. No, I'm just joking. But it's like, making people feel safe around you, I think, is an honest skill of a leader. Which isn't like you don't have to be loud, hooting, hollering. You can be very quiet. But it's just like, hey, like, I don't let this stuff happen around me.
That sounds like a tyrant, though, to be honest.
A tyrant?
Yeah.
You think so?
No, the person you just mentioned about threatening to beat up people.
But people mistake that for a leader of like, you do what I say. And actually, I watched this really great video, and I wish I remembered the guy's name who was speaking. But he talked about a leader in the sense of like the difference between a leader and a boss. He's like, a boss will look at, his team and be like, I am in charge. Where a leader needs to look at his team and say, how do I take care of these people who are in my charge? Yeah. And there's a different mindset to it. And definitely being able to separate that. And I think the alpha male, obviously, gosh, I hate that. I can't. I'm going to say that 1,000 more times on this. I hate that term.
I loathe it.
And that's it for me. Like You can tell the difference between a good leader because one, you're going to feel safe around them because you know they're going to help you. And even if they aren't, like, you don't look at them as a leader, but one thing too is that confidence, right? Like you can approach a situation very calm, even if it's like someone getting out of hand, out of pocket, or an intense situation, and they approach it calm to deal with it. Yeah. And again, doesn't matter about size at all. Oh boy, you can take that any way you want, but didn't think about that until it came out of my mouth. But we're immature. Sorry, we're kids.
All right.
But in reality of it, I think people look at that confidence of what you do and don't let around you. Because how many times, for people out there, how many times have you let something slide by you that you weren't okay with? Mm-hmm. Maybe you even let stuff slide around you that you weren't okay with in your own home.
You can't even sleep, soundly at night knowing that you were that person who let it slide. Yeah.
And to me, I think people just look at that confidence, again, regardless of how big you are, they don't care. Like, they're just going to say, like, hey, I don't appreciate this. I don't like that. I'm not saying people should jump to conflict. Of course, we talked about this on a podcast before. Never jump to conflict. But people who are not afraid to have to be in conflict, right? Like people who are not afraid of confrontation. Just because you're not afraid of it doesn't mean you have to be the biggest dick about it. But you can confront it still. Anyway, I don't want to get too off topic about that. But do you protect your environment? Let's just put it that way. Do you protect your house? Do you let, like, if someone comes up in here, up in this house and starts hooting and hollering, doing all sorts of like, how long would we tolerate that? You got about 3 seconds before we say something.
I was going to say 2.
Ooh, Tom, you give them a long time. Like, no, what do you allow in your place? And are you willing to be like, hey, I don't think that's very polite. Please don't do that. And if they keep doing it, are you willing to go a step further? Like, hey, I've already told you once. If I have to tell you this one more time, you're going to force me to be an asshole. Please don't make me have to be an asshole. Yeah. I love that line. I do to this day. I know I've said it before on other podcasts. I love that line. If I have to tell you this again, you're going to force me to be an asshole. Please don't make me have to be one. Yeah. So, Eric, I've talked a lot about this because I have so much pent up emotion.
Because the well has been muddy. That's why.
It's created a toxic culture. We've done toxic masculinity too. Oh yeah. This is referring back to so many podcasts. But
actually, our editor Eric talked about that to you last night. He's like, "Wait, you guys already talked about this?" So yeah, we did, but we didn't actually specify alpha though.
Yeah, and I think that's just because it's people trying to force that mindset. Like, you always look people in the eyes. Well, it's actually funny. Like some of an FBI interrogator, he's like, no, it's actually very common to not look people in the eyes. It doesn't mean they're lying either. He's like, that's one of the biggest misconceptions that we have of people. If they look away from you, that they have something to hide. No, it's actually, it can be hard to actually articulate your sentences while staring at someone in the eyes. So you look away to think about it, and then you come back. Yeah. And he says that's very common. That's what people do. So they're not lying to you when they look away. If someone says something to you and they don't look away, they are keeping that eye contact. He said that's usually how we find out who the liars are, because they're trying, everyone has that misconception that if you break eye contact, you're lying. So people will hold it as hard as they can while telling you a truth or what they are hoping you'd believe is the truth. And he's like, oh, this person's lying to me. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, dude. Anyway, guys, I really want to know down in the comments section, or if you guys just want to message us, what are your thoughts about alphas? Because
please be honest.
Be honest about it. Do you think you're an alpha? Like, what? I mean,
and I won't roast you. I swear I won't.
Shut up.
Yeah. No, I swear I won't roast you.
It's a trap. That's what we do. Like, how many people have we roasted in our personal messages? By the way, it's always good stuff, or it's funny. I should say that. We don't go out for blood, but we will. If you give us the green light, we're taking it. No, and maybe we are talking about it in its most toxic sense, right? Again, if you're a leader, you're a natural born leader, and you know that's totally okay. Like, lean into it if you want to. But if you're really trying to intimidate people, you're trying to use your size that you go to the gym or whatever. To me, I'm like, what's that? There was a quote I've heard once. This girl roasted a dude, and this dude was basically trying to impress her, and he was being obnoxious and loud, like a normal alpha male would. And all she said was, "It's always the loudest boys who have nothing to say." I was like, damn straight. Yeah. You get him with that.
That is true.
I fell in love with her right then and there. I was like, God damn.
That is definitely a true thing.
Yeah.
Less is better. Mm-hmm. Yes, less is best.
You can. Anyway, Eric, you got any final thoughts on this that you want to end on?
I mean, final thoughts, just don't get too hung up, especially for the men out there. Don't get too hung up on the stupid alpha stuff. Don't follow the crowd. Like I said, it's more of a toxic well now. It used to be a good well, 7-8 years ago. Now it's just nonsense. Just be your best, be your best self and work on yourself. And then
be a good person.
People will flock to who you are in a good way.
Be confident.
Yeah.
The confidence right there is confidence fixes so many issues. I think it's crazy.
And it's free too.
It's free. It's scary though. It is scary being confident. And you just gotta do it. And everyone's confident in different aspects, right? Like confrontation, you and I are incredibly confident, right? But if you put a math test in front of us, like, ooh, I can't do this. You know what I mean? Like everyone's confident in different fields. And what you got to do is maybe one, if you want to expand, then you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Just because you're confident does not mean you're comfortable. It just means like, I will not back down from a situation. I'm not saying it's always confrontation. I'm saying it could be an intense moment too. Like if something happened, like in many moments when working with kids, someone cuts themselves and there's blood everywhere. You're like, oh, okay, don't lose your cool. What do we do? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to fix this first. Let's get going. And that's it. And people look to that. And I think because confidence is becoming such a harder and harder commodity to find, I do believe that.
So you're saying too, like a little bit of stoicism also. Keeping your composure,
I guess, yeah. Like keeping your composure. And that's what you do. It doesn't mean you have to know everything, but it's just like, I'm not going to let this beat me. Yeah. That attitude of like, I will not let this best me. I will get through it. And some ways to build confidence is by talking to yourself of saying like, I can do hard things. I am stronger than I think I am. There's a quote I really love, which was, you don't know how strong you are until being strong is your only option. And it's true. And for some people, they you think life beats you down, it beats you down, it beats you down. You're back into a corner. And you just look at all these other people who are like succeeding. And you're just like, well, why can't my life be like theirs? And it's finally until you're like, you know what? Like my life literally couldn't get any worse. And whatever aspect it is, financially, emotionally, mentally, whatever it is, like maybe you have all the stuff in the world, but emotionally you are so like beaten down and downtrodden. And finally you're like, you know what, whatever. Like I'm going to start doing it. That's literally why I even started cussing. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. When we talked about that Biggest Failures podcast, I don't care what anyone says. People will be like, Tom, I remember you like cussing in high school. No, I didn't. If I even said like, damn, I felt awful. I felt God awful about it.
Monster.
Yeah, like I was my hardest critic. So if anyone who says that, no, you didn't hear me. I don't know who you were listening to. No, you didn't. The guilt I had with that. But eventually, like I just remember during that hard time in my life, and I was just like, you know what? I need something else to express myself. I'm sorry, just being like, gosh dang it. Well, it ain't doing it.
I just don't feel the same.
No, it's not. And honestly, like, you think it was like May of 2014. I remember I was like, I'm going to just start doing it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So funny enough now, because sometimes I have the mouth of a sailor, but it is what it is.
All right.
You get beat down, you get pushed into a corner, and then you're going to realize how strong you are with other things, right? Other aspects of your life. When you're just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to go and do this. And then you start realizing all the things you're good at. Like when you just kind of throw caution to the wind and you're confident, oh, wow, you are a natural born leader. You just had to unlock that part of yourself. You had to be put into a corner, however it might be. Yeah. You just had to be put into a corner. And then when you just realize like, whatever, I'm just going to do this, YOLO, full send, whatever you got to say to yourself and get going. And then people look at you and they will be like, damn, I wish I could do that. I wish I was able to put caution to the side like that. People think it. I still think about in some different aspects like of my life that I'd like to get better at. And I see someone else doing it. I'm like, damn, like I wish I could do that. And then you realize like you can. That person just got to a point. They're like, judge me if you want. I'm doing it anyway. You're going to judge me one way or the other.
Yeah. And that's one thing too. I was thinking about actually, not to harp on it too long. I wanted to say like a week or two ago, I was thinking to myself, just no matter what decision you make in your life, there's always going to be, a naysayer or some type of pushback, some type of difficult. So I figured, like you always say, choose your hard. Just go out there, live your life and, try and be the best.
Ass, man.
Yeah, exactly. Be the best you, because regardless, people are always going to be, harping on you, or you're always going to have some type of external forces making life more difficult. So just do it now and get it out the way.
And I think that's what we're honestly just trying to say now that we're at the end, because I know we've gotten off on like all these different things about being a leader, about like how toxic it is to be an alpha. In the end, if you just are who you want to be, that is so hard now because people just want to follow a mold. You just are who you want to be. People will look at you and be like, well, damn, I want to do that. Like,
yeah.
That alone could set you apart as a leader in the room, because you are going to be transparent. You're going to be honest with yourself. You're going to be honest with people around you, and people flock to that. Again, whether or not you want to lean into it, that's fine. But you just being you immediately will make people feel safe around you, as long as you're not an asshole at heart. Like, people will feel safe around you because they'll always know where they stand with you. If you don't like them, you let them know, like, I don't like what you do. And if you do like them, then you always treat them like, you know, a member of your family, or just you always treat them the exact same. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Being an alpha, if you're an alpha, I hate you so bad. I hate that term, man. My whole life, I'm going to have to deal with that. If I ever hear that, I'm an alpha male.
It'll only get worse because of YouTube.
Don't.
There's a lot of 18-year-olds who follow certain YouTubers. So, yeah.
No, it's the worst shit when it's grown-ass men.
Yeah.
It's the worst. Like an 18-year-old, I expect him to beat his chest. He's 18.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, what? But he's a teenager still.
Then when 18-year-olds keep following, like, you know, older people like our age who are talking about it, it's like, you poison the well. You poison these young people.
I hate when I hear it. And I'm like, I don't care to be mean. I don't care when it's boomers who say it. That's what bugs me the most. Like a boomer. When a boomer is acting like that, man, you got one foot in the grave. If you don't get out my face, push you the rest of the way in. Like, what do you got? Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not getting caught up on that. We could go around in circles about this for hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have. Like I said, this is a topic we've talked about. And yes, we've talked about toxic masculinity, but we needed to address alphas.
Yeah, the specific ones.
First off, let me just, in the famous words of that Vine that we quote all the time, like, you ain't shit. Like, no, but like, it doesn't matter, male or female, you can be a leader, inspire people around you by being yourself. And I think that's beautiful in its own sense. And I really do. When you see someone step into who they are and just being themselves immediately makes them a leader. So,
yeah.
Well, guys, thanks again for being on the podcast. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you're listening on our other platforms, we really appreciate you spending the time listening to us. But like always, and until next time, stay the hell out of our swamp.